Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you've ever burned a whole weekend just untangling a massive, brittle knot of legacy spaghetti code just to update one tiny web form, man, you are really going to want to hear this. We're diving deep into the core engineering behind IDEAPro. This is a governed, low-code platform that essentially lets everyday designers build massive, enterprise-grade applications visually. You never touch the underlying code, and the craziest part? It stores all that data in this remarkably elegant universal database. Let's get into it.
We've got a lot to cover today. Here is our roadmap. First, we're hitting the frozen code rule. Then, no-code asset design. Third, the universal record engine. Fourth, no app-specific tables. And we'll wrap it up with a portable ecosystem. Okay, let's jump right in.
Section 1, the frozen code rule. Building without breaking the foundation.
Okay, so here is the absolute golden rule. To build something new, you simply cannot touch the old. In IDEAPro, foundation code is frozen for ordinary asset creation. Think about that. You literally cannot go in and edit a React TSX file or, tweak a Python script just to make a new screen. You can't hack together some quick custom API route in the core backend. It just doesn't happen. Everything exists to make this one rule achievable. And that ensures the platform stays incredibly stable, honestly, no matter how many custom applications you decide to stack on top of it. Traditional development is kind of like a chaotic ball of yarn, right? You pull one string and the whole thing just unravels. Every new feature usually means digging into foundational files, weaving in more brittle spaghetti code, and setting up these bespoke SQL tables that, frankly, become a total nightmare to maintain. IDEAPro, on the other hand, is much more like snapping together indestructible Lego bricks. Visual assembly, metadata-driven packages, zero foundational code edits. Designers are basically relying entirely on portable metadata and visual assembly. You're using these pre-approved blocks, which completely removes the risk of your brand new app somehow breaking the core system. It's a real game changer. Which brings us right to Section 2, no-code asset design, assembling value visually. So the real secret to keeping everything safe is a strictly governed manifest called the control registry. I like to think of it as a VIP bouncer for your code. If an external developer builds, say, a new drop-down menu or some complex data visualization tool, they package it as a self-contained plugin. When that plugin tries to load, the system actually verifies its SHA-256 hash. Literally, if that cryptographic hash doesn't perfectly match the approved guest list on the manifest, no way, it just doesn't get in. It is this brilliant deny-by-default security model that keeps the visual designer totally safe.
And working from this secure registry, everyday designers can build out some seriously robust assets purely from their web browser. We are just talking about slapping together a simple contact form here. We're talking interfaces and screens, custom APIs and microservices, complex business rules and logic, versioned AI prompts, and automated workflows, the whole shebang. The platform actually ships totally empty by default. There are zero preloaded apps. You construct the entire catalog using just these visual tools. Now, to save designers from massive cognitive overload, because that is a lot to juggle, the workspace is strategically split into two distinct brains. On one side, you have the pipeline canvas. That's where you handle the how it works, your background logic, non-visible data, process nodes, that sort of thing. Then, over on the assembly canvas, you handle the how it looks. You're visually placing, sizing, and ordering the runtime UI controls, the buttons and charts the end user actually clicks on. It cleanly separates form from function, making the whole design process feel incredibly intuitive. All right, let's move on to Section 3, the universal record engine, rethinking the database. This right here is the ultimate database puzzle. And I want you to really think about this for a second. If we never write new foundation code, and we never create new application tables, where does the app data actually go? If I visually build a brand new HR system or some intricate inventory tracking app on the front end, how is that business data physically stored if the platform strictly forbids creating a custom table for it? Well, the answer isn't 1,000. Actually, it's exactly 11. Just 11 universal tables in the MySQL engine to rule every single application ever built on the platform. Whether you have 2 apps or literally 2,000 apps running on IDEAPro, they all seamlessly persist their data into these exact same 11 tables. It is an absolute masterclass in database abstraction. So, let's open up the hood and see how this actually works. Section 4, no app-specific tables. Inside the universal schema. Instead of spinning up custom tables for every single app,
The data gets dynamically routed through this universal architecture based on strict metadata definitions. You've got the universal underscored applications table, which registers the application grouping metadata. Then you have universal underscore records, which manages stable record identities and soft deletes. The actual user inputs, those go right into universal underscore field values. And if, say, an employee record needs to link to a department record, universal underscore relationships handles that record-to-record link and cardinality. No bespoke join table required. The real genius here, though, lies in unique namespaces. Every definition utilizes a globally unique, immutable namespaced ID, something like professionali.hrms.department. These act like permanent tracking tags. They ensure data perfectly maps to the right application context, and it's all safely separated by tenant. So when a user types into a department field, the system knows exactly what that data is because of that tag. This guarantees that even though all your apps are sharing the same database tables, their data absolutely never incorrectly collides. Everything is meticulously scoped.
Now, a massive risk with universal databases is that they can quickly turn into a messy, unsearchable junk drawer, where everything is just stored as a giant text blob. IdeaPro totally prevents this by using strictly typed field values: text, integer, boolean, date, datetime, reference record IDs. If your designer creates a date field, that value goes into a dedicated date column in the universal table. This means the engine can still natively sort, filter, and aggregate your data at lightning speed. Notice that specialized encrypted type on the list too. That means sensitive stuff like social security numbers is automatically masked and encrypted right at the field level. And when your data and your code are this cleanly separated, it unlocks something incredibly powerful. Section 5, a portable ecosystem. Safe and seamless software. Because there are absolutely no messy foundation edits to worry about, every single asset seamlessly travels through this governed lifecycle, completely eliminating deployment anxiety. Step 1, a designer drafts an app locally and runs a local test. Step 2, they package it up neatly with its manifest. Step 3, it goes through a strict security and governance review. And Step 4, it's published and subscribed. Other workspaces can just safely subscribe to it. Honestly, it's as easy as downloading an app on your smartphone. And here is the ultimate payoff. Installing a new package never changes the database schema. You can upgrade or roll back massive enterprise applications without a single database migration script. Let me repeat that because it's huge. 0 risky schema changes. Only fresh rows and metadata are added to the engine. When you install an app from the marketplace, you aren't dropping or altering columns. The system just adds fresh metadata rows into those 11 universal tables. Need to uninstall? It gracefully disables the definitions while fully preserving your historical business records. By entirely freezing the foundation and pushing all that application logic into governed, typed metadata, IdeaPro completely sidesteps the rot of legacy codebases. It really leaves us with a provocative question to chew on as we wrap up this explainer. Could freezing the foundation entirely be the ultimate cure for software technical debt? Is this perfectly portable, metadata-driven architecture the inevitable future for all enterprise software development? Let that sink in.